And we are going to move straight to our second GRIDTech talk, and I have the pleasure to welcome with me here on stage Charles Jolliffe.
Thank you.
Who is a VP Sales UK from Locusview. So, I mean, this is, to be honest, an area with which I am not really familiar. This is everything about digitalisation and how this can help the gas industry. So Charles is going to explain everything to all of us, and especially to myself.
Okay, are these working?
Thank you.
Okay, it's gone. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for your time. My name is Charles Jolliffe. I work for Locusview. I spent the last 12 years working with utilities in the UK. And today I'm going to talk about why better data and digitisation can play that supporting role in helping the gas utilities, something that we're working with, manage some of the challenges that they have around construction projects. I have 6 sections to this presentation to talk about market drivers that we see and hear from our customers, and talk about how they're setting up their gas utility businesses for the future. To turn it on its head a little bit, at the end of each section, I've got a question that I'm going to read out for any gas utilities here or for any gas utilities online to take back to their own businesses and ask what they're doing around these questions. And I welcome any further conversation around that in the future. And hopefully there's some time for some questions. So the first area I wanted to talk about in terms of data is safety. Now, this is a rather broad area, but one thing that we certainly see in the market is cable and asset strikes causing outages. Now, this is typically driven by inadequate excavation procedures and work planning, or insufficient survey practices and skills, or inaccurate and missing underground location information. Now, this was a big driving force behind the reason that Locusview was brought about as a new technology today. In terms of asset strikes, the figures are quite interesting. In the UK, we have about 60,000 gas asset strikes a year, which costs about 200 million euros to fix. In Europe, that number ramps up to 1.8 billion. Now, there are a couple of independent agencies, such as NUAR, which is the National Underground Asset Register in the UK. I think in the Netherlands, you've got something called the BRO. They are indicating that better data accuracy on the assets under the ground can actually help to drive savings of up to 30% in this area around the safety aspect. So data, certainly with construction continuing to grow, it obviously brings more risks. So we certainly see that better data is helping to alleviate that risk, improve safety, and very much reduce those outage costs. So I guess my first question here really is, how is your gas utility business delivering better digital data today from the field to reduce the impact of outages? How robust is the provenance of that data across the planning, construction, and closeout processes? Talking about operational challenges here, obviously cities and streets are becoming overcrowded with assets underneath the ground, and utilities continue to replace those aging assets and the infrastructure to support programs such as hydrogen, digital twins, and other decarbonisation programs. So it's very similar to the safety challenge. We certainly see now a lot of our customers are focusing on how they can capture a much higher level of high-fidelity data when they're in the construction process, and much high-accuracy data. So what they're trying to understand is, where is that asset underground? What is there? Who put it there? When was it installed? And which materials were used? Even to the point now of joint traceability. So the question here really is, in your own organizations, what is the level of your own high-fidelity construction data? And how quickly are your systems of record updated in near real time with this data from your field teams? From a financial perspective, obviously hearing quite a lot about the financial pains in the market at the moment, but in construction there is a pressure to deliver a reliable, timely, and accurate undergrounding project. But there are cost pressures, there are narrowing profit margins, and all whilst not trying to put the costs onto tariffs for the consumers and still delivering that excellent service that gas utilities provide to their customers. What we are seeing and hearing that a failure to do this effectively does fuel other investments into other energy generation initiatives in the marketplace. So 2 insights from our customers in how they're trying to improve the financial process of construction projects. One is material traceability. This is helping to protect the profit, the benefits, and the gains, and the accuracy of the information of the assets underneath the ground. What they're finding is where they don't track that material traceability effectively enough, is there's poor data, there's a lot of paper PDF, still a lot of siloed connections between their own internal business units. And this is leading to data duplication, data errors, and data leakages. And the knock-on effects from a financial impact is an overspend on materials and the high cost of reworking any undergrounding works and capital programs. We're also seeing a drive for an increase in automation in the way that data is captured in the field. Certainly across all of the stakeholders, this is helping to reduce the project delays, help faster closeouts, and drive a faster asset capitalization within the gas utility organizations. So financially, the question is, how long does it take your own gas utility to reconcile project costs, and what would be the financial impact of improving that? From a workforce perspective, obviously COVID-19 has driven a faster digital transformation program across all industries. In gas utilities, it's about reducing the risk and eliminating paper to move to a more touchless world. But there are other challenges with regards to the workforce for gas utilities. There is a shortage of skills and an aging workforce. Industry research is saying that within the next 5 years, 25% of the utility workforce is going to retire. That's a sizable number. Then there are increasing third-party costs, like surveyors. And then you still have the internal silo business way of working and the inefficiencies within organizations. But doing more with less is becoming a reality. So the digital changes we are seeing our customers apply to meet the workforce challenges are as follows. They are using technology to try and reduce those third-party costs, very much like the example on the screen here with VPI, where they're trying to switch and do the work with their own internal resources. There is an automated material validation process going on in real time in the field through the mobile workers. Much more tailored and persona-based digital workflows across all stakeholders, including contractors. This is helping everyone on the project to be better informed, make faster decisions, and avoid mistakes. We're also seeing an increase in real-time visibility that's available to the project teams in the field. So gas utilities are trying to change that ratio, a higher ratio of field crews to the actual supervisors and managers that are managing them. And that's helping them to drive scalability. So the workforce question here, the exam question, is how has your business digitized its workforce to meet the needs of your construction personas? From a technology point of view, gas utilities are seeking technology to fill that gap between the planning process and the closeout process. They want that end-to-end digital thread of data. Certainly when I speak to gas utilities in the UK, they say that maintaining that digital thread is incredibly difficult, especially when they have internal teams trying to communicate with external organizations that have their own applications, their own systems, and this brings on board other integrations they have to manage. So how we're seeing technology protecting this thread is as follows. We're seeing digital inventory catalogs available on mobile devices for the crews. We're seeing a validation of materials in real time out in the field on construction projects. We're seeing barcode scanning that can now scan asset information in real time, but also scan operator qualifications to verify whether they are skilled and certified to do the work. We're also seeing that there's a further step in engagement to assets and machine sensors, so we can pull digital data into the devices, and better integration to legacy systems. So the technology question here is, how fit for purpose or fit for use are your systems used by your field crews today? How purpose-built were they, or are they just heavily customized legacy systems? Lastly, cultural. Obviously, I've just talked about a changing workforce. Now, we have experienced engineers in the field, but they are technology opposed. They are resistant to change. They still use paper, regardless of the errors and delays, because they say, we've always done it this way. But it's stifling innovation. It's stifling gas utilities who are trying to attract that digitally aware workforce. Now, companies say changing that cultural and shift and that finance and the financial costs moving away from long proven processes is daunting. But we see that if they don't make these changes, they aren't able to attract that new, younger workforce into these organizations. Now, Locusview, we were built from the ground up, working with gas utilities. We helped create digital workflows and processes. We helped bridge that engineering and operational side of the business to create a single workflow. But more importantly, we've given gas utilities the foundation for the future that helps them to attract that next generation of workforce. So finally, culturally, my final question is, how easily adopted and liked are the processes and construction technologies within your gas utility organization today? I think that's my last slide, but thank you for listening to me talk about why I believe and we believe that data and digitization is playing a very supporting role in helping gas utilities with their construction projects. Please take the questions back to your businesses, or I'm available here if you would like to have a chat with me, and I get your contact details and share the questions with you. But thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Charles, for this very interesting presentation. I'm sure that it was very useful for a lot of us trying to move to the digital world. So suppose I am a gas company and I'm facing, some of the challenges that you are highlighting. See, I am still relying on paper. I'm old school, huh? Like typical old school.
Me too.
So you are. So, how can your company basically engage into further conversation to support me trying to move to the digital world?
I think that the important part is, as an organization, we only focus until recently with gas utilities around the world. We have 30 gas companies, and we have 180 contractors using our technology. But we have some great subject matter experts. And like all good things, we're very open to just having a conversation to talk with any organization for any of the challenges that I've talked about today that resonate with them, and just drill into, see how we can help, and just take that conversation forward and talk about some examples, give them, introduce them to some of our customers. That's the best way to start that conversation.